Hey guys, Nina here, welcoming you to another reading from the Ladies of Horror Picture Prompt Monthly Challenge, hosted by Elaine Pascale on her channel, The Godmother of Horror. If you'd like to read along or read previously published pieces, please visit spreadingthewritersword.com or ladiesofhorror.com. In the meanwhile, enjoy the reading.
Blinded by the Light by Donna J.W. Munro. Lainey found herself staring up at the light again. The cold breath of the night tickled her face, though she didn't feel it. The little fella in her belly stopped kicking and turning in her, generated internal heat that flooded out across her skin. She rubbed her hand across the swelling and kept looking up into the brightness. I think I'll name him Joey. Do you think he'll look like you or like me? She knew he might be millions of miles away, but she felt close to him when she came here. I miss you, she said, pulling her jacket close over the top of her belly and walking back along the bike path toward home. Honestly, Lainey, if you just tell us who did this to you, maybe then we could get you some support. Daddy and I can't afford to take care of your little sister and you and now a baby. Mama spoke as she stirred the pot on the stove, her back not a real barrier for the edge in her tone. The disappointment in her voice might not be a knife, but it cut just the same. Sorry, Mama. Not much else she could say. At night, when the house ticked off the heat and aches of its long day, and Lainey lay in her childhood bed staring up at the cracked paint on her ceiling, she wondered if he'd ever come back. His touch had been at first unwelcome, but the brightness of his eyes, the flow of his skin under her fingers convinced her. He forgave her lack of experience, showed her things. To the moon and back, he'd given her his love. The baby inside moved almost non-stop when she thought of him. Little fella, do you think Daddy'll come back? She asked. The squirming stilled when she talked to him. She wondered if she would survive his birth. At school, the kids avoided her. A pregnant teenager in a Catholic schoolgirl uniform didn't sit well with them. Mom and Daddy had fought to keep her in school, demanded protection for the unborn and for the girl Lainey who chose life. They'd won, and Lainey sat big as a house in the back of the room, ignored by the teacher and her former friends. She'd gotten used to it. Science class usually bored the heck out of Lainey, but when they started a unit on space, she soaked up all the knowledge about atmosphere, light speed, planets, and meteors. All she could think was, he's out there, somewhere. On the way home, she walked along the bike path where she'd met him. The hard light of mid-afternoon promised that he'd not be there, but she couldn't resist passing the spot he'd lifted her from. The little fella inside always stilled when she looked up, but here he radiated with the heat his little body communicated to her with. He warmed her gently as she looked up. A comfort, really. She patted her belly and thought about living without him. Lainey, have you thought about the papers we went over? Daddy asked over steaming plates of meatloaf and potatoes. She shoved the food around with her fork, making it look like she ate. She didn't eat any more. Yes, Daddy. We need to decide so the baby gets a good home. You want that, don't you? The little fella pressed sideways, tasting her distress. Warmth flooded out of him, burning her uncomfortably. Her worry always frightened him. She cradled her belly in her hands and waited for Daddy to stop asking questions. Later, she walked to the bike path and stared up at the sky, wishing that the light would blind her again, wishing that he'd come and take her away. Little fella stretched up, warmth rippling through her as he reached. If only he'd come back for them. That night, Lainey dreamed with little fella about his future here, how he'd seed the planet with his DNA, how he paved the way for more encounters. The mother of the future, little fella called her, mother of the new world. She wished she could sleep all the time. Get up, Lainey, Jessie said, barging into her room. Since Lainey started to show, Jessie's favor with Mom and Daddy grew by the day. She ran the house and seemed to love lording it over Lainey every chance she got. "You look like a cow, big and fat. Bet you'll never have a boyfriend now. Mama says you're ruined." She didn't feel ruined. She struggled out of bed and pushed Jessie out of her room, locking the door behind her. Little fella hadn't moved or reacted to Jessie's taunt, something that usually set him to flaming her skin with the heat of his anger. She sat on the bed, belly pressed up under her breasts, and tapped the high rounded top. "You okay, little fella?" He didn't respond. 3 days passed, and Lainey didn't feel little fella move anymore. She couldn't go to school or pretend to care about the food her mama kept putting on her desk, then taking away when she ignored it. She lay on her side, cradling her belly and flooding her pillow with quiet tears. What if he died and was rotting inside? She got dressed and walked away from the house, night enfolding her in cottony silence. She felt she needed to go back to the beginning where she met her love. Little fella always reacted when she stood at the spot he'd been made. Her bare feet padded through the crunchy grass, hard with frost. The cold hurt. She missed the heat little fella gave her. The bike track, the beginning. Silence pressed in around her. No bugs chittering, no wind moaning. As silent as the first night. Lainey looked up where he'd first come to her, hoping that little fella might look with her. Nothing. No warmth, no stretch. "I don't know what to do," she said to the light, not bright enough to be him, just a regular street lamp's yellow glow. "I think little fella's dead." Nothing. No light, no lift. Still alone. Water gushed down her leg and Lainey screamed. Lainey felt her body ripple around the ball of baby inside her. Ripping pain brought her to her knees there under the washed glow. She lay down under the lamp, clutching her hands to her pulsating belly. The light she wished for blinded her. She reached a hand toward it. Lainey stumbled home. Little fella gone. Her lover gone. And her memory gone. Mama and Daddy looked her over, questioned her unmercifully, but she didn't have answers. Eventually, they stopped asking. They sent her to a new school, told her sister to stop bringing it up and let it fade into their background, a shadow no one noticed. Lainey finds herself on the bike path, standing under a street lamp, staring up at the stars almost every day. She wishes she knew why that place made her feel happy more than any other in the world. She wishes she was warm.